$25,526,500. That's how much I made Alex Hormozi using just Instagram. Nothing more than a simple AI automation and a DM setting team that he's never used before.
If you don't know who Alex Hormozi is, he's a social media legend with a $500 million portfolio and a 3.1 million follower Instagram base. And here's the twist. I used the exact plug and play strategies that I used to scale my business to 7 figures at 24 years old. So how has someone like Alex Hormozi never done something like this before? Stick around, you can just steal my strategies that I use and I'll break it down step by step.
I did some serious digging on how Alex Hormozi actually makes his money. Some of the numbers I found were pretty shocking. So number one, books, $100 million offers, $100 million leads. Next, companies. He invests and scales in companies. Third is workshops. I'm going to run into exactly how I made him some serious money, $25 million. First, how much does he actually make from these books? I found this guy who broke it down in detail, an Amazon genius. First thing I found was a breakdown on how many sales he made a day back then. But I found in this video, he was actually selling
1,000 books a day.
How much does that actually translate to in terms of cash collected? $900, where 9% of the sales are coming from Kindle. I found this from breaking down the percentages plus how much he makes on average per sale. So next, paperback, 65.5%, 14K a day, hardcover, 6.3K. How does that actually convert into monthly revenue and yearly revenue? $7.8 million a year, and a side note, 3.3 is what they actually take home. So what are we going to do with books to make him so much more money? We're going to make him $9.5 million this year, and I'm going to show you what I did. Next is workshops. How does he make money through workshops? They're $5,000 per ticket and they allow 100 businesses in. I double confirmed this by checking their FAQs and they did very much say that we only have physical space. I don't think they're lying about this. It's not a scarcity play. Next, I found a YouTube video where they're only filling up half of that capacity. So there's around 13 people per row with 3 rows and that adds up to around 48 people. But then I found another podcast which gave me some really interesting news. So they have an upsell at the workshops,
which I fell for immediately and dropped 15 grand on the spot.
On average, if we say there's around 40 workshops per year with around 50 people, we're taking away holidays here. So there's about 2,000 people per year that buy these workshops. Now, for $5,000, that's $10 million collected just from the workshop. And if we're saying a 20% conversion rate on the upsell of the $15,000, that's another 6 million. So we're saying we collect $16 million per year now. And I can confidently say we are going to fill that capacity to another $16 million using these strategies. So what is going wrong with Alex Hormozi's entire strategy to sell books and workshops on Instagram? Number one, it's the most boring bio we can think of for conversions into what we really want, DMs. He sells by posting and people just click on the link in bio. So it's a real slow way of converting into sales and an actual link on his stories. Once again, conversion's going to be absolutely dreadful. Main reason is because people like being told exactly where to go and what to do. So how did we solve that problem? Number one, on the posts themselves, we're going to put it directly in the caption. Comment leads if you want to learn how to get strangers to buy your stuff. The reason why we do this is because we're going to use a sneaky automation. Do not use this automation at all if you're not Alex Hormozi. I'll tell you why in a second. Next thing we did was we changed his stories to have more of a high converting CTA with a poll and a reply. Now, we really want these DMs coming in for a specific reason. It's because we're not going to do all the work here to convert these sales. So what are we going to do? We're going to use ManyChat. It's an automation system which sends a DM once a keyword is made on a post or a story. Now, we use these templates where a comment leads into a DM, a story reply leads into a DM, and what are we actually going to say in those DMs to convert them? Now, there's 2 versions here, a beginner version where we can answer with simple questions and answers and a link. There's an advanced version where conversational logic, real advanced conversations, which we can do in 2 ways. Number one, with the automation itself, setting up workflows. Number 2, with setters. We're going to talk about that in a second. Images, voice notes, setter follow-up, super high converting. This beginner version, I'm going to show you exactly how that's set up, but I'm going to say do not use this until you watch the end, where I explain exactly why this may kill your account. First things first, we set up a trigger. So whenever someone comments on the post or reel or story, we want to send a DM. Now, what happens first? Whenever we set this up for that to go into next post or reel, we want to make sure if it's going to a DM automation, we maximize the boosting of the post itself. So we're going to reply with a comment here, just sent, did that come through? Super important, a question, because a reply will boost the engagement. More comments, more reach. Now there's a few different versions, just use ChatGPT. You can copy and paste this and then it'll give you a bunch of ideas on what to do. Next, what happens? You actually send a DM automatically with a slight delay, going straight to what they asked for, the book, a book link. What you can actually do here though is start a conversation to qualify them for, let's say, a scaling workshop in this case. Yes, no. By the way, are you a business owner? Now, what is the revenue? If they are disqualified, let's say $100 million for the workshop, awesome, check out my book on offers, get to $1 million first. Are you trying to scale your business to the next level? That should have an L. Yes. All right, let's get them to a scaling workshop. Now, we want to add some tags and then choose a team member to assign it to in ManyChat inbox, because they'll be following up using our advanced strategies, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, are you looking to start a business is the next one. If they're not a business owner, once again, straight to the books, easy stuff. You know, if they're not, just go straight to the YouTube channel. We don't want any leaks in the funnel. Now, what are we going to do to make sure that these convert super, super high? First, we're going to optimize his bio to put a DM CTA in there. A CTA is a call to action. Alex Hormozi gains around 63,000 new followers a month, and he gets on average a 1.45% engagement with 60 posts doing an average of 1 million views per post. So 720 million views a year, and a 0.06% conversion on this is 453,600 books sold, with a plus $9.5 million in revenue there. And then the scaling workshops, he only has to sell 2,000 people per year to add that extra $16 million and fill up the capacity. That's next to impossible not to do with this process here. But here's where the key part comes in. I found on acquisition.com's LinkedIn profile that they have a good team of recruiting. They have a good team directing the sales. So we're going to get them to hire DM setters.
Might be wondering, what is a DM setting team and why has someone like Alex Hormozi never used one before? So a DM setting team is essentially going to follow up on all these conversations with a booked call strategy. So he's going to book them into sales calls, which is what they already do at acquisition.com to sell their scaling frameworks, because it's a high ticket offer, $5,000, not the easiest to sell over DMs itself. So how they're going to do this is using conversational frameworks by sending a photo from their profile, making a comment about it, replying to their stories, and commenting on their posts to make sure that they have the highest engagement. And now one of the biggest things for response rate is making sure it doesn't sound like a DM setting team and it doesn't sound automated like a robot. So saying something like appreciate the follow is the most useless thing ever. Saying something like thank you for engaging with my content, absolutely useless. Everyone knows that's probably one of the most automated messages of all time. The whole goal is to make sure that they believe it is Alex. So once the conversation reaches that point of the automation, it will be assigned to one of his employees, a virtual assistant, which he can find pretty much anywhere with the hiring team that I've just listed here from his LinkedIn acquisition.com profile.
I'm going to go through the exact script that the DM setting team are going to use for the $1 million plus businesses to make sure they turn up for their scaling workshop and make Alex Hormozi another $16 million. So remember, you do not need a team to hire DM setters. I've hired over 100 DM setters in our business over the past few years, and I'll tell you exactly how to do that in another video, so stay subscribed. So you should not be using ManyChat first of all, because you already sound like a bot. The next thing is you're going to get an outbound ban limit, because people that you're sending the free guides or replies to, not all of them follow you. One post takes off, then you're going to give yourself an action ban because you sound like a bot sending cold DMs to people who don't follow you. Now, the reason why we're using it for Alex Hormozi is because we're using it for story replies, so everyone follows them. You can also use it for story replies. What is the script? Now, first things first, we want to make this as personalized as possible. As I mentioned, we send a photo, or if we're going at scale, we're opening up some spots for the workshop to help scale the best businesses. Do you mind if I ask a few questions to see if I can help? The personalized route that everyone else should be taking is, hey, name, build some rapport around a photo that you send from their profile, and then make sure that you say something related to, let's say, their industry in this case. So, hey, name, just saw you were in the fitness industry. How long have you been coaching clients for now? Something along the lines of that. When they reply, you acknowledge their response and you say, how are you generating leads or clients at the moment? A situational question that is going to start a conversation. Next, you're going for problem questions. Stick to max 1-2 of these. Acknowledge their response again. Where do you feel the main bottleneck is for you right now in terms of growth? We're trying to find problems and we're going to make sure that we're relating all the questions back to each other. So for example, how are you generating leads, clients? How's that going for you? Next, you're going to acknowledge their response. What have you tried so far to fix the problem? This sets you up nicely for a belief breaking line. You want to actually break their beliefs on why they're not scaling. For example, in the fitness space, if they think cardio is all they need to lose fat and they don't know anything about calories, if you say something like this and you say, do you know how many calories you're eating per day? That's an easy move to build yourself as an authority figure. Then you send some value. So in Alex's case, send a specific SOP from Layla's email, something that's going to be useful for them. It actually sets us up for a question to get a response that is usually difficult to get a response for. Have you worked with mentors before? Can sound salesy, but because of the reciprocity from sending value, you always get a response. I'm keen to know, why are you going for the push to scale now itself? Get some cost of inaction, motivation, pain point lines so you can actually set yourself up nicely for a call offer. Be happy to offer your place in one of our scaling workshop events. You sound like you have some serious potential. Do you reckon you've got 30 minutes or so for a chat with my growth strategist? So this can be you if you're a closer. In Alex's case, they have a team. Just need to make sure you qualify and have the details. Can you do X or Y time zone tomorrow? Short time span for a manual booking instead of a calendar link converts 50% higher. So next thing is also, what's your email and WhatsApp number? We'll get you over a private calendar invite. Alex's team's closers use WhatsApp to message, follow up, and also call. You should use a Zoom link because it's a scheduled event and a defined location that people turn up to. So lower chance of no-shows. They just have serious volume. And now the next thing is, the reason why we actually booked it for the next day and as soon as possible, maximum 2 days out, is because the longer time they wait, the less of a problem it is in their head, the less of an urgent issue that they need to solve it becomes. Then Alex's team just makes sure they know they're going to get a calendar invite, they know what to look out for. Big move next, give them some homework to make sure they show up as well. If you can shoot me over a detailed idea of your business in the meantime, so we can get a better idea of where your business is at, that would be great. Homework always increases the chance of show up. In the fitness industry, we used to ask for food logs all the time, and then make sure they watch the video, make sure they read the SOPs, make sure they are nurtured to make sure they show up. So that's how I made Alex Hormozi another $25.5 million with just the workshop making $16 million. So if you want more tangible tips to go from $0 to $1 million, hit subscribe. I'll be dropping more value on exactly how I scaled my own business and how I'm going to scale some other businesses too.